Hello. Have a great day, and I can see myself yesterday stream all 55 minutes of it with me just talking to the screen because I one hit record and forgot to switch screens so you can actually see me, hear me. Explains why there was a follower the entire time, kept coming and going, hoping that I would talk. So today we're gonna retake and retry adding Blob story upload. Before we get started, let's do a quick little recap of where we've been. If you're new to the stream, you can follow along GitHub repo, GitHub /contacts. Look for the outline file as highlighted now. And you will see kind of everything we've done. I've documented it. It's more of an outline than show notes now. Should probably rename it, but in case anyone has. We started off with nothing, just introduction to Visual Studio, Visual Code, JetBrains Writer, and then we went into File New and started building out Contacts app to keep track of our contacts. Didn't want to do anything too complicated because, again, this is just really for basics and not really worry about building any intellectual property since everyone in the world has some form of contacts app. So we start off with domain models. You can click on video to see that particular stream and source code at the end of the stream. Then worked on the business manager service layer and spent a couple of days data layer. If there's any show notes or anything that came up as a result of the stream, you can see that. We then went into building out unit tests, on introducing photo mapper to do some of our mapping. Then spent a good 2 weeks on building out an API, documenting concept. Dependency injection, documentation for API. Did some. Spent a couple of, I think it was 2 weeks on building out our user interface using for MVC. Then went into migrating it over from SQLite to SQL in a 2-episode mini series. 2 episodes, mostly because I kept running into getting along the way. Then spent a couple of days moving to the cloud in more of a step-by-step fashion, which is why it took pretty much a day to type. Then introduced telemetry and logging to the application. Then worked on building out a pipeline to it. So now whenever we do commit to our repository, it automatically deploys to our 2 Azure services. And then added user secrets. And last week we spent it working on. Today we are going to start the next part, which is uploading to Blob storage. For those of you who don't know, Blob storage is to store pretty much large objects. A lot of its use cases are huge data lakes, archives, phone, failing all over. Sorry. Images. Essentially offers a highly scalable storing large. The way I like to think about it, if you had a big file system and you can throw anything, you can pretty much do that. We're going to do that through using images, our contact images, and put them online. We'll do it locally first and publish them in Azure. So there's a couple of things you need to get started besides just Azure. You need for local development easier so you're not fully cloud, you need one of two different So I'll put these in the show notes. You need something called either Azurite, which is a source library that was built to run free of the Azure storage service, Blobs use service. The other option is to use the storage MU. To note that only Windows machines, because it uses scenes SQL Express for the storage of it. Azure like essentially web server that stores the files. Uh, I will put links to both of these. Use the Azurite package here, and I'm not using Azure Node implement Docker by using free, but you can do it straight through Visual Studio Code extension with with Azure Docker image, or take the code, download it yourself. So I'm not going to really cover that. See, I can go here and I have image running. So how do we get started? If we look, there is a quick start guide to using the Azure Blob storage client library. Current version is 12. There's not much differences between side of standard, all the different SDK. And I think even version 12 across the board consistent. Another thing with version started removing the service part is that. So you need to do a couple of things. We're not going to do any of this. This is package. You could install the Azure Azure Storage SDK. We're not going to use that SDK, only wrapper SDK around it because clunky their SDK for my needs. It just I only call one line as for lines of code. But once, no matter what the package is, you need two things to use these. Something called storage connection string, and that has key connection string with it. In development, it's used develop storage true, which has kind of hard-coded reference. See right around here somewhere. Probably in this. Yeah. Use development storage local, or if you want the shared key approach. So let's get started by creating. I'm going to use JetBrains Writer for it because that's stream. You can use the Azure Storage Explorer, which works both on Windows, Mac, pretty much anywhere .NET Core works. That will allow you to connect. And I like to try to keep everything all within one package, which is why we have. So in order to use it, you need the Azure Explorer. Streams ago when we our app service. I'm going to click on here, and under storage accounts, you can open it and see a list. I'm going to look for the storage emulator, and right now it shows Blobs. It supports queues, but I don't. So in this particular case, I'm going to do right click, Create new one. I can click on the naming guidelines. Essentially, they need to be strings because they can't start with numbers, no underscores. Typically, the convention is all lowercase dashes per keyword. I'm just looking at the screen to make sure I got the name right because I'm copying it. So here we're going to do contact dash images. So kind of what the object is. The names don't matter as much. It's more so for how you want. You can put in anything container, but typically you don't want to have a lot of intelligence in your code to figure out what it is. So this, I'm just store images, created a name to be a trigger, and I'm looking at it that click OK, done. It takes a matter of seconds. You can actually do a lot of through storage package, have the configuration set up. So let's take a look at this. We double click, it gives a SQL query kind of experience. Right now I can see all the content that's in there, which is nothing. So we have. Let's look at what we need to do. Add stuff. We go to our contact controller. Left off with have a file name to use, and I'm going to put the here so the order in. So we have the stream, or we have the upload, and we contact. We want to save them. First step to saving them is we are going to need to be able to access library I wrote. And you could do this storage SDK state. We go off to NuGet. Already saved because this is the last one I did. Storage. Once that's installed, to be very in sync with what we've done, we are going to inject that service into here. Now, unfortunately, the real right way of doing this would be to create a repository for it, but let's go with how we can on. So in order to inject something, we need to create it in startup file for any of the services. We can put it in endpoint. I like to try to initiate close to the front as possible. So if anything wrong, it errors to register contact images container. Copy and paste the code so that you don't have to type. So this is telling me in add in JoeG diagnose Blob, which I'm going to do. For this, we're essentially saying create a singleton where we want to, I call blobs. And then we have some blobs that allows us to read, write, access. So think of the blobs as a repository. In order for us to use the blobs, we need to pass it in. Constructor for it, it needs a storage connection string. Doing this yesterday, I just copy and paste so that I'll retyping it since for myself yesterday. I created these settings. So let's go and settings. So I'm going to right click here. And what are we in the I settings? There are 3 settings we're going to want. Public string. Public string. So the first is the storage account. Second is the container. And then the contact image URL we're going to in a little bit. But since I had them already clipboard, update the interface with them. So now startup. I have too many windows open. So now this should be good. So now we have the container created. So now let's go and inject it into our controller. Created reference blobs, private read only, private only, call it blobs. Again, we should probably repository for it, but I'm working in the backend. Clean it up at blobs. This one blobs or blobs equals blobs. So we should be good. Let's get you. I don't need. Now here we are going to want to access. Oh, my step. Now that we create the settings, we actually probably want the settings. Let's go and add over that. Normally, we would want to put these in the secrets that we worked on, but since they're development and there's really no secrets to them, this should be, and I'm going to explain how we see URL in a second. So it says use the development storage, true, use contact images for the container name, and for the image URL, we're going to that's that. So let's go back to contact controller. So now that we have a name, we are going to want to do with it. Check to make sure adding. Reconfigured my computer over the weekend. This is actually a new laptop that I'm Mac. I only had 2 monitors. Second monitor smaller, so I see if I can deal with it or set up. So we have the file name. We tested it out. When you save a blob, you need 2 different things. You need the actual content. So typically you do a stream with that and a file name for that stream. Name you want to call it. Typically I do the file name. You could use the file name property, but everything in the documentation you read for when file upload says use that file name because there's no checks against it. Someone can put its scripts in it. And we're going to create our own name. Start off with file name. Spell it right equals new system file. Actually, this should be file extend. We need the extend because we don't want to guess whether or something like that. Luckily, system file info has for us that gets us. So now let's give it We can do lots of different new GUID, which is fine. We can build a file name like our file name new dot new GUID dot new GUID plus file extension, and that would create something, a 32 character string of a GUID dot. Problem with that is there's really no easy way to tie it back, look it up. What we're going to actually do is use simple string that has contact ID, period, file extension. This way we can see it and find it. Now that we have a file name, we need to be able to get this code to save it is relatively. You can get a sample for it from my project. JoeG would diagnose storage by going to the test, and want to see a difference. The Blob test helper does it straight with the Blob test directly library. So we get back a Blob content info. We're not going to check see if it's null. We want to wait for blobs dot upload async. If we look at that, it wants a name. So this is where the file name and a source string or a physical file name. So if we have a string for the file somewhere already on the operating system, we can pass in that. Since we don't, and it's going to sit in a temporary file with the upload file dot open read string. Then we have an option to override it. And we're actually going to turn on pause. This will enable us to allow a person to upload more than one file. They upload a file and then say, well, I don't really like that, and uploaded another one. If not, we would get an error saying, hey, a file or. There's also a overload that is, or another method called upload and essentially does the same thing. Now we're getting, because this is not here, because our public method is asynchronous, it's complaining. So now that it's upload, we should be good to go. So let's double check that. Go in our projects, I need to get some kind of key for, so you put on for shortcuts. I'm going to hit a break. Oops. I'm going to put a breakpoint. Just so we can see what. And because I haven't done it in a while, let's remove the cookies to avoid whatever pops up first time. Contacts, edit on time. browse. Let's pick banana head. Open, upload. Should still have a file name. Go. Play to continue. Breakpoints are off. Actually, but we should see blob content returns back with some data. This E tag is just a number that's used for not consistency, but when synchronous, well, not synchronous, it helps to identify, what version, kind of like a version files. So this file was done. If I hit play down here, go back to our screen, we should see it was, this is failing because we're doing display that next. Go to more tools, developer tools, inspect that, and it should say the E1F, which 21 dot. So we're good. Was the image actually saved? That's the next step. So let's take a look at that. So we're going to go back to our Storage Explorer, open up Contact Images, and I'm going to refresh on this. Now we see 21 dot JPEG. So that's a bug. 18K in size. It was last modified at 550. And this is the URL. I'm going to show this a little bit to see HTTP// port 10,000 dev store account container name. Sorry, the account name. Container name, file name. I can actually access this file if I do copy URL, go back to Edge, should be able to paste this in here. Oh, yeah, authorization failed, not passing. Handle that. Minute, but that's how you access it. So let's go back to code, stop the Wi-Fi for back to our content. Let's do this, getting period. Now we need the settings because we're going to need that. Go back up here. Okay, I copy settings. 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 Settings equals set. Now we have access to that. Now we should be able to URL for the storage to be page URL settings storage URL flash in double check C file check the app. Oh, and I need the container name. Settings dot / because tape character. So now this string should look string. So now we need to save that to database. Contact equals contact service dot get sync. Send the contact ID. Let's update the image URL now. Image URL saved. Wait. Contact service dot save async. Pass in. So this should update the full URL, and if everything correct, see within the data or the following screen that it should look like 7. Let's hit play. Drink. Click edit here. Save me a couple clicks. Upload a new image. Oh, I forgot to actually show it that image. Make sure we actually got. Happily, my team at work really changing up my face and sorted pic. Not looking. Click upload. Now, if we look at our image, file 27. Oh, I got screen zoom. I got the format wrong. I backslash and at least we see that format is. So we got that working. It's saving off to file. Picks up. Let's go do that. / it. Now we need a way for the detailed screen. The to-do list comes. Probably get rid of. Let's go over to the view. Oh, where do we want to go? Views, contact, details. So we need a way to allow us to be able to call this correctly. We go. Where am I going? Oh, here. I'm going to look at this quick start. I think it had a view the image here. One of these had a manage blobs. This blobs. See if that's all. That's not what I'm looking. If there's anything. There was a tutorial after load, which I don't know if that's do, but we actually might do that. Creates it. Essentially, I need a way to pass in the off to storage container so it can for authorized. Here is there. What's not stable about this? You have some filters on, too loud, too quiet, on, off. Huh. You can try moving the microphone. See if that's a little better. I move the mic closer. Let me know if that works or doesn't work. Looking at the audio range, it seems to be good. Tweak it and pop it up a little bit. I did change computers, so that tends to tweak things, but all the filters should have been copied over. Increase the gain. Not seeing any package dropping or anything. Let me know if it gets better, Shady. We'll look at it some more. So we need the credentials for it to, this is for upload, file viewing, generated. That's not what let's take a quick Google with Bing. Storage. Blob storage. Credentials. URL. Let's see. Authorize access. I don't want it. Not what I want to do. Not what I want to do. How to generate temporary. No. 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 Where are you? Try access token. Have account 1. See if they're quick guide to it. Security recommendation. No, that doesn't have. See if there's anything in samples within the net. Authenticating using a connection string. Anomaly access public. Authenticate using that one. That's through the SDK. I don't want to be able to just return that URL for it, then be able to access it. Is the audio better? Not cutting out? I'm hitting the top of the green yellow, which is microphone. Let's see if there's another way. Use Active Directory token. No. Shared key. That's not what I want. Blob access token. Website. Same blob storage review We're using token. See if that works. Thank you. I upped the gain a little bit. Sorry for that. First, you're the first person on the stream since I changed hardware, so my initial test looked okay, but I tend to move a lot when I talk, so sometimes the microphone just doesn't get up. Thanks for bringing it up. Yeah, let's see. Azure Active Directory. Where are you? This is a way to do it because I do it on one of my sites. Well, let's just check the box. Command line options, run, workspace. Use, clone, yeah. Blob listening ports. Yeah, that's how to Azure right. Do quick start, work with blobs. Do the SDK again. SDK. Although there is an example here that actually might show it. Download an image. Let's see if that one holds what I'm. That physically downloads it. I don't want to have to download a copy sheet. I thought there was a way where I'm listing them all, I can see them all. It was like a Azure Blob storage image sample photo gallery. And this is actually showing. So let's see what the code is like for here. So let's do browse code. Storage.net. Controllers, home controller. I think it's right here in the index. So we get a reference, get permission, list all blobs. We do the view. Okay, so let's go take a look at view. Home, index, should be something with models. Image, block. Huh. This is just passing in the item back. Item, if I think so. It's just the URL. Just double check that. Controllers, home controller. Let's look to see what we have. So let's see a little bit. Storage account, parse it, storage account, create cloud. See, this is why I did all that in my library. Just four lines just to get access. So it should say to view, to upload, browse in the browser. You have two options. First option, shared access signature token to delegate access to the resource. The documentation. Second approach is to set permission to allow public access to all blobs in the container. I meant the line below to not use this approach. Huh. I wonder if I can do that just directly. See if there's a way right on the container itself. Let's go here. Here. Let's delete that image. Don't want it anymore. Just checking to see if we have the ability to change its properties. If not, we might have to publicly allow it like it says. Copy out this code here. We probably need to add to our startup class, register the blob itself. Let's go startup. Probably have to do that in here. Fine. You meaning services at single. We should have a semicolon. What does the matter with that? Delegate for it. Services to incorrectly. What we want to do here. Copy you out. You here because we're going to do a little bit. Ultimately, we're going to want to return the blobs. So let's do var blobs equals our new blob that have access just in case to the container client itself. So what I need to do, set permission async. I'm just going to paste that code, copy that code and paste it here so I can see it. Set permission. What was it code? Set permissions async. That doesn't exist. Why doesn't that? Oh, because that's the container client. Get blob client. Oh, this is becoming a lot dirtier. I want it to be settings dot container name. And let's do var blob this and blob dot set permissions. Oh, it's on the container. Oh, that should be. Sorry. This is all new to me. Is this part? Okay. You do set access policy. There it is. And access type and public access blob. It should give us this, and I just need So technically, I said remove. Why are you doing? Technically, this is not in here, but it just gives me access to it. While we're adding the singleton, we're actually setting the parameter. Probably not the best. But let's see how it works. Rerun this. And if it works right away, I should have access to that image. Should be this page. If I hit refresh, we should see this now on it. Oh, this is still the wrong URL. Let's close some of these windows. Got to open contacts. View 21. See what we're getting. Collections, more tools. Insert. Let's make sure the URL is properly formatted. Still not properly. What did I do? I thought I fixed that. Go back and fix it. Let's change that to that. Oh, I probably haven't re-uploaded since, why it's not working. And there we go. We got the. So let's go and just update the database with that entry. So I'm going to edit this. I can just not have to upload it. Change it here. Hit save. And voila. There we go. So it pulled out that image from our storage, and to make sure that it's actually working, let's go and give another one, and let's go back with the original Banana Man. Save, upload. I got a line in there. Oh, I got to fix the code. Cool. Go back and fix the code. No, not that. That screen. Stop the web UI for a second. Go back to my contact controller. Fix it. You don't need that in here because that's already part. Save. Rerun that part, and we should be to go. Edit you. Let's upload the banana guy to it again. Ta-da! There's banana guy. And double check to make sure we're not doing any secret magic. There's banana guy. And if we go to our storage container, download image 21, and I'm going to save that off to downloads. Downloads folder, there's 21.png. Oh, because that one was an actual. I open it up. Let's open up photos. And there it is. So we're able to take an image, upload it, save it off to Blob storage. The next thing we will do, the next stream, is now take that and look at what we have to do natively in Azure to upload that. So not much will change. It'll just be the creation of that blob container. us committing the code, and then we'll probably see the. That's all I had for today. Hope you learned something. Any questions, feel free to reach out to me on any one of the social media means listed here. I look forward to chatting with you again in the future. Thank you again, Shady Nagy, for helping me out. Great day.